Brand nerds. It's summer 2026, Larry.
Love it.
All right, y'all. Summertime. Summertime. Shout, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince.
I'm
We
glad
know
you said Jazzy Jeff first because he doesn't get enough run, I think, sometimes. You know what I mean?
I agree, and that was actually the name of the group.
Right.
Yeah, it was Jazzy Jeff who was the
First.
DJ, who
Yeah.
was the primary. But brand nerds, we know you all are out and about during the summer. Hopefully, you're getting some vacation time, rest and relaxation. And while you're doing that, what Larry and I and the Brands Beats and Bites family thought we would do is to share some of the best that we've ever done at Brands Beats and Bites, some episodes. So we're going to be remixing some things for the summer that we're going to point you to by resurfacing the best of Brands Beats and Bites anytime, summertime.
That's right, D. Brand nerds, what DC and I are really saying is if you missed this episode the first time, you need to catch it this time. They are must see or listen, whichever you prefer. DC, please tell each brand nerd why this episode cannot be missed.
Larry, being from Detroit, I'm a car dude. And Bob's podcast, Guts and Growth. I know you all hear Guts and Glory, but Guts and Growth, brand nerds, if you want to figure out what it was like to give cars to Oprah Winfrey so that she could say, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car on national TV, but also learn something about you got to get into the details because you might forget a point and it could cost you a lot of money, even though it goes really great. And you want to understand that you must have courage, guts to grow, then the Bob podcast on Guts and Growth is for you. Brand nerds. Oh, we are rolling into summer. And Larry, you know that the producers do not like me to timestamp any podcast because we want them to be evergreen. So what am I about to do, Larry?
Of course, you're going to tell the brand nerds what time of year it is.
Exactly. That's what I'm going to do. Last night, brand nerds, the New York Knickerbockers, who are in the Eastern Conference Finals of the NBA, playing against the Cleveland Cavaliers. Cleveland, by the way, beat my Detroit Pistons. I won't go into that. But
please don't, for your sake. Don't do that.
I'm not. The Knickerbockers had a historic 22-point comeback in the fourth quarter. And I mentioned the Knickerbockers because a friend of our show, another sports analog, like they have Fill In Frank on PET. Fill In
PTI.
Frank. Yeah, PTI. Shout PTI. On our show, we have Tim Spangler, who we affectionately call Takeaway Tim. Takeaway Tim. And good people know good people. And brand nerds, our next guest is someone who comes directly from that lineage. And every single guest that Tim, Takeaway Tim, has recommended to us, we have had on the show and they've done great. In fact, at this point, we don't even ask. Like Tim will say, are you guys okay? Do you think we're like, Tim, if you say the person's name, they're going to be on the show. So this next person is going to be a Takeaway Tim special. But there's more stuff going on that's relevant to you brand nerds than sports analogs and Takeaway Tim. And it's this. Millennials, Gen Zs, you all change jobs more than any other generation before you. And that's fine. What I want you to take away from the guest today is this is a person that has been on the agency side, on the client side, and has done that more than once, made these different moves, agency, client. This person has done different industries, classical marketing. He's done QSRs. He's done automotive stuff. So he has not only different lenses on business in terms of agency lens and then client lens, but he also has a strata of different industries to pull from. So listen very closely to what he says, because Larry, what I believe is going to happen in this show is the brand nerds are going to learn things that they can apply anywhere. And then in one of the areas, and then I'll flip it over to you to do the formal introduction, LT, is because I'm from Detroit. Y'all know I love me some cars. I love some automotive. And this next guest also has deep experience in automotive. Larry, can you let the peoples know who we have in the building with us today?
Oh, DC, great setup. We have Bob Kraut in the house today. Welcome, Bob.
Hi, brand nerds.
Yeah, we're so excited to have you. And as DC alluded to, Tim has provided us great guests, and each one seems like they get even better. So no pressure, Bob, but seriously, we're really thrilled to have you in the building today. So, okay, brand nerds, for you avid consumers of Brands, Beats, and Bites, we love the inspiration for why one chooses a marketing career. Bob has a really good one. The early inspiration for his interest in marketing and advertising was a fourth grade school trip to New York City. The class visited a Broadway orchestra that played advertising jingles of the day and was led by a cool agency executive. He was hooked from that day on, eventually becoming a super successful CMO. Let's walk you through Bob's path to becoming a CMO. For college,
I'm sorry, Larry, can I just ask a quick question here?
Yeah, sure.
So he goes to New York, Bob goes to New York, it's Broadway, he sees a super cool ad executive, so now he's inspired to get in, and he's in the fourth grade. Do you think he had 3 martinis at lunch when he was do you think he did that?
Hey, it was the Mad Men days probably, right? When you were a little guy, right, Bob?
Yeah, right.
I don't know. It might have been the ether in the air, D. I don't know.
Might have been. All right.
So, okay. So for college, Bob gets into and graduates from a great 5-year program at SUNY Buffalo, where he earns his undergrad degree and an MBA in marketing. He begins his career at stellar agency Foot Cone Belding in their Chicago hub, starting as a project director, and spends 11 successful years at the agency with primary focus on the Pizza Hut account, and his last position there is VP account director. He then grabs a great opportunity joining Taman Euro RSCG as partner and management supervisor, mostly working on the P&G account. This agency work is truly foundational for Bob in building his career, and that's what DC was alluding to in his setup. Okay, brand nerds, we talk about major pivots in one's career. Here is Bob's. He is offered a huge opportunity to come over to the client side, where he joins General Motors as Director of Advertising and Sales Promotion for Pontiac and GMC. In this position, Bob is responsible for $440 million Pontiac GMC brand marketing budget. Highlights include executing the highly visible "You Get a Car, You Get a Car" Oprah Winfrey free giveaway of the Pontiac G6. He also leads the development and execution for GMC's long-running professional-grade positioning, driving 10 years of sales growth. Yes, you heard me, 10 years. He also wins Alpha Awards in 2 consecutive years and the Chairman's Award. After this success, while still at GM, he then becomes the brand manager for Pontiac, where he oversees the $3 billion business for the Pontiac brand and all sub-brands, leading all Pontiac marketing, strategy, planning, product development, and managing the entire Pontiac racing program in NASCAR, NHRA, and more. The company also sends Bob to Harvard, where he earns a graduate degree in advanced management. All right. With all of this success continued at GM, Bob then earns a huge promotion, becoming the director of GM brand and advertising operations, managing $600 million in agency compensation for GM's 22 agencies at the time. And he chairs the successful transition to a new agency compensation system. In this position, highlights include 1, improving company's image asset system, 2, redeploying technologies to create more effective advertising more efficiently, 3, developing and implementing head and heart strategy to reverse negative perceptions of company via highly effective then and now campaign, and 4, according to third-party CNW research, he and the team boost likability, attitude shift, and improve consideration among younger as well as older buyers. All right. So after all this success at GM, Bob then gets tapped on the shoulder to come back to something very familiar, albeit this time in a much different role. He joins Pizza Hut Corporate as their VP of Marketing Communications, the same business he worked on back in his foot cone days. All right. In this role for the next 3 years, he manages a $200 million marketing budget. Highlights include, number one, successfully developing and implementing America's favorite pizza positioning and subsequent campaign resulting in positive same-store sales growth. That's the key metric in anything QSR, brand nerds. Reversing a 6-year downward trend along with 7% sales growth. Number two, leading company rebranding strategy, moving from pizza company to whole meal replacement company, including addition of pasta and wings and enhancement of core pizza quality. Number three, launching award-winning PizzaHut.com ordering website, tripling revenue in just 18 months. And number four, creating the first ever iPhone pizza ordering application featured in Apple's TV ads. All right, as Bob continues to string more and more successes, others take notice, and he is now recruited to join Arby's as their SVP of Brand Marketing and Advertising. Before Bob joins Arby's, they had 4 straight years of declines. A D, no surprise, as Bob seems to do at every stop, he and his team turned the ship around and produced 10 straight quarters of same-store sales growth through many new strategies and tactics, such as, number one, successfully introducing We Have the Meats campaign, which I believe they're still running, which is awesome.
Yes, they are.
Number two, price value repositioning of core menu, including $1 value menu. And number three, revamping entire menu pipeline and testing process. Now Papa John's comes calling, and Bob joins them as their CMO, where he is responsible for marketing and business development of the Papa John's brand in 38 countries with more than 4,700 locations. Guess what, D? No surprise. Bob and his team really make things happen, doubling sales growth, including 23 straight months of sales growth. Highlights include, number one, signing Papa John's NFL sponsorship with a campaign starring Super Bowl winning QB Peyton Manning. Number two, spearheading brand renaissance, elevating the quality of the advertising execution. And number three, reforming the new product development and calendar planning process, integrating analytics and leading to winning product intros such as Philly cheesesteak pizza, garlic knots, and double chocolate brownies. He then joins fast casual seafood chain Captain D's as EVP CMO. Of course, with Bob in place, he reorganizes his team, introduces improved new product development process, and leads a rapid brand transformation, resulting in sales rebound, improved marketing effectiveness and capability, catapulting Captain D's into becoming the nation's #1 fast casual seafood restaurant. Currently, Bob serves on several boards, including Evergreen Trading, EDO, YEXT, Tiff's Treats cookie delivery chain. He is a featured instructor at SMU Cox School Business Leadership Center. He serves as co-chair of United Way of Metropolitan Dallas's Social Innovation Accelerator, and he also proudly serves as president of the Harvard Business School Club of Dallas. Welcome to Brands, Beats, and Bites, Bob Kraut.
Well, thank you for that introduction. I'm impressed with me. I guess
You should be.
Well, you should be. You should be, Bob. Just brand nerds, notice the career fluidity, like going client, agency side, working with classical CPGs like Procter & Gamble, QSR, automotive. The consistent thing, Bob, which Larry has gone over in his eloquent introduction of you, is growth. Yep. That's the consistent thing. It's growth. So brand nerds, when you're growing, you have lots of opportunities, and many people come knocking to find out how you can grow. Now, we are moving to get comfy. Normally, Bob, I have one. In this case, I have two. One, I'm just going to lament, and I don't need you to get into it unless you want to. And then I'm going to get to the actual get comfy question. But allow me to lament as a Detroiter. Brand nerds, when I was a youngster, I was really into cars. I still am into cars. But only occasionally would a few cars rise above all in the pantheon of cars that I happen to really like. And typically, the cars that rose above had some story connected to them. And one of those such cars was a Pontiac Trans Am.
Yeah.
Oh, I love this car. I just love this car. There were two reasons why I loved this car. First, Smokey and the Bandit. Smokey and the Bandit.
Yep.
I mean, that car was so cool. And then for those who may or may not know, because it was not necessarily branded as such, and it was a different model. Smokey and the Bandit had the 4 lights. You know this, Bob. Then there was Knight Rider. Okay, then there was Knight Rider. So those shows and that car, I was just madly in love with the Pontiac Trans Am. And then I don't know.
As many other folks were too.
As many other folks were, yeah. Some number of years ago, I'm reading some GM, because it's owned by GM, some GM announcement that and I want to get the King's English right here, Bob. This is the King's English, the Queen's English, so that everybody understands exactly what I interpreted from this GM announcement. And what it said was, ain't gonna be no more Pontiac. Okay, all right, okay, all right. I was so upset.
Yeah.
I was, Bob, Larry, I was like, how can the brand associated with the Pontiac Trans Am ever go away? Even if they only make, if they only make that one car, how can it go away? So I have a problem as a Detroiter with the Pontiac brand going away. And to my knowledge, having not returned, I just wanted to be on my soapbox. Bob, do you have anything to say about this before I get to my real get comfy question?
Well, I was really disheartened that the brand was discontinued along with Oldsmobile and Saturn. GM was in a bankruptcy situation, so they didn't make choices, and Chevrolet is the big brand as to Ford and Toyota.
Yeah.
Cadillac's the luxury brand, and they kept a truck brand GMC, which I worked on and actually launched the Denali on. And then they kept Buick because they were selling a lot of those in China. And the Chinese, that's a magical brand because the last emperor owned a 1911 Buick, so they kept that brand.
Interesting.
I always wondered. Thank you for explaining. I always wondered why, because to me, to DC's point, I always thought Pontiac was a better brand than Buick because Buick is a caught out there brand.
Yeah, Buick is a near luxury brand, and Pontiac was the sporty, exciting brand.
Yeah,
I have a story on Knight Rider for you, DC. So do you know how Pontiac Trans Am happened to be in that series?
Mm-mm.
Well, we had a car carrier, and 9 Trans Ams fell off of it. And they were doing this television series, and we told them, because you can't sell them, you can't fix them, and we gave them the cars, and that's how we got into it.
Wow. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow. I had no idea.
Great story.
Yeah,
by the way, that's how we penetrated Hollywood in a lot of movies. I worked on Transformers. We supply cars to the movie studios, and we let them do what they want with it. And now I think the brands have to pay fees, but we were just a reliable partner to them by supplying cars.
That's a very interesting. One comment about Riviera, then I'm going to get to my question.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, excuse me, not a Buick. All right, so brand nerds, if you go back and look at some of the classic sub-brands within the Uber brand, and this is Buick is a sub-brand of GM, but then the model that I loved in Buick was a Riviera.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, was a Riviera. So sweet, so beautiful, and also fast. So it had this positioning where it had both luxury and speed. Mm-hmm. It had both of them. And then they started doing funky stuff with the Riviera. And I said, okay, but let me get to my real question, which No, don't go ahead. We're gonna say something about before I go to the.
No, go
All right,
ahead.
all right.
Good.
Larry mentioned that you were involved in the Oprah Winfrey holiday. You get a car. You get a car. You get a car. And we were recently at Georgia Tech. Shout Tim Halloran, another Tim Halloran, professor over there at the is it the Schiller School?
Yes,
Yep.
the Scheller School of Business.
Scheller School of Business. Sorry. So we met Bob with their grad class and with their undergrad class, and they each of the students did a one-pager after listening to an episode of Brands, Beats, and Bites. So we were just over there, and one of the things that they gave us feedback on is when something comes up that's interesting, really dig into it so that we as students can understand what happened sort of behind the curtain, backstage, if you will. Help the brand nerds understand, Bob, how this thing came about with Oprah going, you get a car, you get a car, which people have used now since then in all kind of jokes. You get a ring, you get a ring, you get a pool, it's like you get a fill in the blank. How did that deal come to be?
Well, it's interesting. We were launching a replacement car for the well-known and beloved Pontiac Grand Am, but we were trying to go to an alphanumeric naming system to kind of imply more serious intent of the cars.
Okay.
And
Like a BMW Mercedes, right?
yeah. And so the idea is at the time you get I had like $30 million to launch this, and I guess like I said, my claim to fame in my career is breaking the internet before there was an internet by doing these kinds of stunts and events. So we wanted to take money that we may have put into television and print advertising and do something different. We happen to have an agency called the Vigilante Marketing in Chicago. And a gentleman named Larry Woodard was the president, and he really came to us with this idea. And he had an acquaintance or a friend at Harpo Studios. And then we were talking about it, like what kind of proposition can we bring to them? Well, Oprah, at the end of the shows or holiday season, et cetera, she gives out one of her favorite things, and that could be a cushy robe or a box of chocolate or a book that she loves. And we said, well, how about if we blow people's minds and give them a car, a Pontiac G6? So they liked the idea, and there's a well regarded documentary on this whole thing. It was listed as one of the top 5 marketing ideas of the last 50 years.
Oh, wow.
But you're sitting in the audience, and Oprah's talking about this car, and everybody is looking under their seats because that's usually where they discover what they're getting. And they had keys to a new Pontiac G6, and spent about $5 million on that. Probably got $45 million in earned media as a result of that. And it's a gift that keeps on giving. And I'll tell you an interesting story. And this, I guess, a little bit of a blunder on me and my team's part. So when you're giving away a car, which at that time was maybe $24,000, the people that received it, their audience members, they get taxed on it.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
And typically what you do in sweepstakes and things like this, you gross up the amount. So you give them more because they're going to have a tax consequence. So, so these were people that didn't, $24,000. They didn't have the money to pay the tax bill.
Yeah.
So she came back to us and, let's say, insisted upon it. And then I had to go back to GM to come up with $1 million to pay the taxes. So, and that was like, what do they call that in China? They have the same character for opportunity and risk. Well, that was the risk part of this opportunity, because you don't fool around with money like that at General Motors. So,
no.
At the end of the day, it worked out. It was a great thing. It's memorable, and is looked upon as one of the the more interesting and clever marketing stunts of that era.
It's a great story, and it is a great, you say marketing stunt, but here we are talking about it many years later. And brand nerds, if you were around then, everyone knew about this.
Yeah.
It took over the culture for when it happened. Like, what? The people who were at Oprah got a free car? What kind of car was it? And went right into that, right?
Yeah.
And Larry, there's no bigger star at the time. So
that's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. That's
Yeah.
exactly right. Did you get any spin out from that too, with people who received the car and loved the car? Were you able to even,
yeah,
take it?
when we got lots of letters of appreciation and
Oh,
people
that's awesome.
are, but immediately it gave us like instant brand recognition overnight. I mean,
Totally.
Oh yeah.
all the morning shows, like across the country,
Oh.
like 150 of them, they were covering this. And like I said, there are shows and documentaries about advertising, which includes this. So anyway, sometimes your success is preparedness meets luck, and I think that's what happened here.
What a great story.
Yeah.
Larry, you have anything more? I want to ask Bob a question.
Nope.
Then we can push on to the next section. Did you happen to find yourself in the audience when this was going down?
Yeah, of course, I was there.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you were there. Okay. So
Yeah.
what was it like sitting in the audience when they figured out everybody in this building is getting a car?
It was absolute pandemonium mixed with elation. That's
Mhm.
pretty way I would describe it. They were so excited and thrilled, and a lot of people needed a car. So, Pontiac GM was there for people, and the talk value for them and their networks of people that they know, and in the industry, in the automotive industry, and then also this hits households, right?
Oh, yeah.
This is the thing that makes it all the way to your dinner table. So, and I'm going to talk about this. Back then, when we were doing these ideas, we were always thinking about what will people remember 10 years from now. And I have a
Good.
couple of those under the belt that are still being talked about. And this was probably the premier one.
That's so
We
good,
were
Bob.
always trying to do things that were great, that would be remembered.
So good. So good. Larry, anything more before we go to the next section?
No, I love this. All good.
Okay.
All right, Bob. We are headed to 5 questions.
Right.
Larry and I will each ask questions back and forth until we arrive at 5. I have the honor of beginning. Take yourself back, as far back as you'd like. There was some brand that you loved, like I love Pontiac and Trans Ams, or some brand experience that you had, and it moved your heart. You were elated to be engaged with this brand, enthralled, a bit like a first love. What was this brand or brand experience for you?
Well, I think it was cars. I was I was a car nut when I was a kid, and I ended up working in the industry and then collected cars. So, but mine was a Pontiac brand. That's why it was so fulfilling for me to
Wow.
live out a childhood dream. There's the first the what is acknowledged as the first muscle car of the era was the Pontiac GTO.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
And that is uh, defined the era, and then many other the Detroit manufacturers came out with muscle cars, basically taking a sedate car, which at the time was the Pontiac Tempest, and putting a big engine in there with cool tires and very sporty trim and so on. So that was my first experience in doing that, and again. By 100 feet away, I could tell you what year a different GPO was.
Okay.
So I like doing that, but I also would like to tell you, I guess at the appropriate time, like what my first assignment was when I joined the agency, because that was a memorable brand that I follow today. So yeah.
GTO.
GTO.
Right.
And to complete the story too, I have a lot of things that reoccur. GM actually brought back the GTO in 2004, And what we did is we positioned it as a modern day muscle car. And so it wasn't a retro car like Mustang was doing,
Yeah.
but they
Yeah.
appointed me the brand manager of that. And we imported a car that was a cool rear-wheel drive, big block engine from Australia. And I was able to lead that. And I was very flattered to do that because the man that selected me to do that was Bob Lutz, who's a legendary figure in the automotive business,
Oh yeah.
and probably the person that really made a big influence on my life and the way I see things and conducted myself as a marketer.
Mm. Larry, any thoughts on Pontiac and GTOs?
I just love that Bob was able to have that as a favorite growing up, and then somehow manifested it to work on that brand. D, I'm reminded, and for myself, as my identity and everything, the brand nerds know this, was as a hooper and basketball player, and then for me to then launch Powerade, I don't know, there was some manifestation. There was before it even
Right.
Oh
existed.
yeah,
There's something in D, you with Sprite, like that's something you always said, man,
yeah.
like, right? Like, so there's something really interesting about that for us marketers who can then work on a brand that is near and dear to you. It There's a passion level that emanates from that is sort of irreplaceable.
I view it as having a blessed life that
Yes.
I could, again, go to this um, concert of advertising jingles, and that ended up being my career, so to
Oh,
speak. And then loving the GTO when I was a kid and actually running the brand later. Seeing me, working as a low-level account executive on the Pizza Hut brand and then running marketing for them. So again, I see it's like I've been lucky and I've been blessed in all the things that I've been able to do and the people that I've encountered along the way. It's just it's been a great experience for me in my career and personal relationships I've built.
I got a couple things. You're right, Larry. When brand nerds, when you find a way in your career, if you are blessed enough to take something that is inside of you that it ignites your soul, and you can merge that with some career thing that pays you, this is where things happen that you simply cannot predict.
yep.
Yeah.
Like no wonder uh, Pontiac was doing the things that they were doing. I know
Right.
you worked on more brands than just Pontiac,
Yeah.
Bob. It's because of going back to your Ute,
Yeah.
and your love of the GTO. A little nerding for a moment, automotive nerding, and then we'll move on to the next question.
Yeah.
So you heard brand nerds Bob mention a big block. So for you brand nerds that are not automotive people, that simply means the block of the motor is larger. So there were small blocks and big blocks. And back in the day with the GTO, the original, which I think was in 64, 65-ish.
That's correct,
Yeah,
DC.
60, yeah,
Yep.
64, 64, 65 was a 389. But
Mhm.
but in Detroit, we don't stop at just 389. This thing got up by the early 70s. Now we're talking 455, 455
455, the
high
biggest block.
output, like
Right.
all of these different things. And then you're talking about the positive traction in the rear end, so it can like do quarter mile speed. So this was
Right.
really a big deal. But in bringing the GTO back, I don't know if I remember this correctly or not. You certainly will know this, Bob. But I seem to remember something going on with 50 Cent. Like, am I remembering this right? Pontiac with the entertainer, rapper, now
Well,
mogul.
LL Cool J did events
Oh,
for us,
LL Cool J. Okay, my
and then
bad.
we also worked with Ludacris later. So yeah,
Oh, Ludacris. That's right. That's
yeah,
right.
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
Ludacris. All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right.
yeah.
Cool. All right. Larry, would you like to go to the next question, brother?
Bob, this is great stuff, by the
Yeah.
Oh,
way.
yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
So, question two, Bob: who is had or is having the most influence on your career?
Yeah, so I made reference earlier is this gentleman, his name is Bob Lutz. He was the vice chairman of General Motors, but he also worked at all the big automotive companies. He was vice chairman at Chrysler. He had a very senior position at Ford, and then he was head of marketing at BMW. And I think he's just a Renaissance man because he acts very princely and courtly. He's the good king, the way I would say it,
Hmm.
smart and complimentary and good to people and brings out their best. But the same time, incredible instincts, guided by information and data to make decisions. So, talking about what we like as being marketers is the convergence of the right and left side of your brains, right? The emotional and rational. And like I found a guy that I worked for that had this thing was concentrated big time. He wrote a book that I loved called Guts.
Mhm.
And I guess brand nerds, what I want to share with you is that uh, I think what has happened is that today, since a lot of the advertising is run by algorithms and so on, you don't have the opportunity to use your judgment and the uh, your understanding of what you have of the consumer, the marketplace, what you know about the internet, and kind of I call that, put it into your Cuisinart of a brain and crystallize all that thinking and leap from it and invent from it. And sometimes to make decisions like that, it takes guts. And that's what he personified. He embodied this thought of lead or get out of the way. And I also love this motto, which is oftentimes wrong, but never in doubt.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that really just, I guess it demonstrates and
It's good.
typifies his confidence in making decisions. And when you do make a decision, go on and don't second guess and look back and work and refine and try to understand if things could be improved, but stay with it. And the other thing the lasting impression made of me is that he said, to be a great marketer and a great business executive, you have to be a little bit of a split personality,
Mm.
and be guided by information and data. You have to have cold hard facts and be agnostic to some of the incoming noise.
Hmm.
But you also need to have freewheeling creativity and creative ambition and co-merge that with your rational side and your creative side and leap out of that. I call it the leap out of the collision of all those things that are in your brain, so to speak. So that's what I loved about Bob. He taught me about this having this culture of a split personality, which defines what is a Renaissance man, and it really comes from actually a historical figure that I really admired, which was Leonardo da Vinci, because he was a scientist and an engineer, and of course, a spectacular artist. He was the original um, advertising person. So, so to speak,
Mm.
all the things that he invented and leaped out of his mind based on what he observed in nature and the human condition.
Mm.
So anyway, and I think Bob is alive and well and jet setting around the world today. But he made a lot of a big impression on me.
Ooh, I love this, D. You have any thoughts?
Just a question. The book Guts, is did you say that Bob wrote that book or was it someone else?
No, Bob Lutz wrote the book. I think he's
Bob. Okay,
written,
yeah, okay, yeah, okay,
yeah,
got it.
Bob Lutz, yeah, or
Yep,
Robert Lutz, yeah.
yep, all right, got it. Okay. That's
And
the only thing I had.
he was frequently, when they ask about advertising and marketing and automotive, frequently he's guests on major news programs and so on. So he's fun to
Mm.
watch.
Yeah, I love this, and I just looked it up. Bob Lutz is alive and well with us, and also, Branders, you need to know uh, that uh, our Bob here, Bob Kraut, painted a great picture of Bob Lutz and what he's about. And famously or infamously, Bob Lutz and Lee Iacocca were
Mhm.
working together at Chrysler, and they butted heads big time. And Iacocca admitted years after, that he should have anointed Bob Lutz to be his successor. So this is a person who truly was an incredibly special executive who, again, like our Bob Kraut, generated fantastic results wherever he went. And we are so, Bob, we're so about results. And so DC and I admire people. It's not an accident when you're able to do like you've done in many different places to generate results. And ultimately, you can have the greatest marketing that looks good, but it's all about results. It's got to generate results in sales, and so Bob Lutz is somebody to really hold up in great regard in that way. Do you want to take the next question?
I
Oh,
do.
and just one
Oh, yes.
punctuation point to that. What I
Sure.
always like to say is you don't get paid for activity, you get paid for results.
Oh, so now I got to do the John Wooden quote. We love John Wooden quotes on the show. And John Wooden, one of his best quotes is, "Don't mistake activity for achievement."
Exactly. It's probably where it was derived from.
Yeah. This is not a quote, but it's along the same lines of both of your great quotes on activity, and it has to do with a rocking chair, and that is you can do a lot of going back and forth, a lot of activity in a rocking chair, but you ain't moving. Okay, you ain't
Exactly.
moving anywhere.
DC, that's a great metaphor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
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 That's what it's like. So
Good
we
one.
too pride ourselves, as Larry has already said, on results, not on activity. This is going to be an interesting one, Bob. This next question, because throughout your career, one word, as I mentioned earlier, has been resident, and that one word is growth. And you just put a fine point on the last question about the difference between activity and achievement. This question has to do not with any of your wins that led to your wonderful periods of growth. This question has to do with your loss, a big, danky mess up. We call it an F up, the biggest F up that
Yeah.
you can conceive or recall from your career. And what's most important for the brand nerds, Bob, is that you help them understand what you learned from it. Now you might go back to, you already mentioned it, the you get a car, but you don't get taxes for it. That's a pretty
Right,
big
right,
F
right.
up, but maybe you got some others.
Well, I'll answer it with two examples. One, which I personally made a mistake and our sales suffered. So I degrowthed the company for a short period of time. I was a new CMO at Papa John's,
Mhm.
and we were introducing a new media strategy that we were trying to pursue a greater frequency within programs of
Okay.
the spots. So it would up our noticing levels. And based on the research we did, the conversions to sales would be higher. In order to do that, and I didn't realize this to the extent that we did this, but you have to shave your media points.
Okay.
Now, what happens if you're all about same store sales growth, right? So we're always in the like any retail business. I think there's a bunch of brand nerds that are in that, but especially in the QSR quick serve industry, you live by same store sales growth, and
Yeah.
you have to lap the sales from the year before.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're not growing, and it's bad. It's bad for the company, franchisees that you have to support and fuel their businesses as well. So what you need to do is you need to look at your week by week. You need to look at your year ago media weight
Mhm.
and accounting for inflation. You just don't spend the same amount. You have to get the same media weight or exceed that. And because we did the shaving, there were actually 2 weeks that we didn't,
Mhm.
and our sales went down.
Hmm.
So I guess the good news is advertising works because
Right.
if you're
Yeah.
not doing it, you're not selling. But our sales went down, and I definitely was called into the CEO's office, and it wasn't pretty. This was at Papa John's, and it was an owner founder, John Schnatter, and it was a difficult conversation, but I owned up to it. I was not paying attention, or maybe things were, well, I shouldn't offer excuses. I just fucked up. So,
Okay.
so that wasn't good. The other one I want to reference a
Hold on
situation.
before you go
Yeah.
to another one. What data
Yeah,
and
that's
or instinct did you use to make the decision to change the media mix and impressions, etc.? What did you see that made you think you weren't making enough of? You probably thought there was going to be growth or at least savings.
Well, I think, like I said, I have to put this on me, but there was a team that was in place that I inherited and plus the agency, and they showed me a way because when we do a media plan, what we do is we translate it to sales,
Oh, okay.
and they showed me a way where our sales were not affected.
Ah, okay.
And when you're new, I mean, there's two kind of managers. I kind of try, there's the CEO, CMO that's actually hired to get a new staff. I've never really been that kind of a guy. And actually inherited a pretty good situation at
Yeah.
Papa John. So I like to go in and assess, and I believe in trusting people's positive intentions. But at the same time, the learning, Larry, I'm sorry, in DC that I think you want me to get at
Hmm.
is this idea that you have to check other people's work, no matter
Yeah.
what position
Great.
you're on. You have to look at the spreadsheets. You have to go into it because you're ultimately responsible for all of that. And so you've got to do that, or I guess the phrase is trust and verify. Yeah,
Yeah.
let me do that, but let me take a couple of days to work with this myself to see if it's all panning out. The method that they use to demonstrate that our sales would go up, it wasn't sound, and I didn't do that. And it was a mistake and definitely a learning moment for me.
Got it. Thank you, Bob. I want to say this really quick before you get to your second example. But Larry, did you have anything on the first example?
yeah. I want to get this thread, D, so if it's okay.
Yeah.
How did you diagnose, Bob, that this was you see same store sales going down? There's a lot of variables that go into that. How did you hone in on that? This was a big part of it.
Well, you look at historical data when you have media shifts, and you can see the dynamic, and you
Okay,
have an elasticity model that you use.
got it.
What's interesting about, typically in the pizza market, you're gearing up to Friday night used to be something called pizza night. I don't think people do it as much anymore because lifestyles have changed so much. So you start your new campaign on a Thursday, and you're
Mm,
getting ready for selling. And by Monday whether you're doing well or you're cooked. And that was the fun about that industry, is that you do all this work and you can see the results and feel it right away. Whereas automotive, you work on something for 2 or 3 years, and very, very long lead cycles. So that was very appealing to me when I moved to Young Brands to work on pizza.
that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right. So, brand nerds, I want to share this with you. Sometimes we humans will make business complicated, but we believe on Brands Beats and Bites. We can simplify. It makes it better. And I want to introduce a model to some of you brand nerds that you may not be aware of. It's called PITA, PITA. Every business has to be aware of PITA. And I'm going to link it to Bob's point. The P is the population. So the addressable market that you're going after. The I is incident. So what percentage of this population can you capture? The T is transaction. So how many transactions will you get? This is the frequency. This is what Bob was talking about from a media perspective, frequency. And then the A is the amount. So the amount per transaction. Whatever a business is, whether it's in automotive, it can be in QSR, it can even be apps like the App Store. It's all about PITA. So when you are walking into a business, understand what the priority is, like the heartbeat of that business. Bob already mentioned same store sales. So same store sales are impacted by what percent of the population was Bob and his comrades getting? How many transactions, so frequency of consumption? And then do they have the same check size, or do they have a smaller check size? That would be amount. So just
adding
remember,
adding a brownie to the equation.
adding a double brownie.
Yeah.
Adding a double brownie. So brand nerds, keep that in mind, because it can help strip away all the other stuff so you can understand what the priority either is or what it should be to grow the business. Okay, Bob, next example.
Okay, and I'll be brief. It's another pizza example, but it's at Pizza Hut. And what was interesting is that we look at trends, and we found one that, first of all, the general aging of the population in the United States. And as you get older, you do consume less pizza. It's because you don't tolerate it as well, but you don't have children in the household, right?
Okay.
Which was so we were a little bit concerned. We're selling this pizza. It's highly competitive, right? And at times it was profitless. And then we're going, well, the population's going to get older. We're going to have a diminishing base. We'll make less money. There was a business book out at the time called Blue Ocean Strategy. I don't know.
Yeah.
I remember it.
Oh, yeah.
So the Blue Ocean means that consider recontextualizing your brand to be in uncontested waters where there aren't sharks and competitors competing for the same resources. So swim in the blue ocean, where you basically develop a competitive moat around your brand that nobody else can duplicate. And you're swimming away from the red ocean. The red ocean is a competitive, price-driven market where you get bloodied up, you get your nose punched, and you get your cut because competitors are trying to outdo themselves and lower their prices.
There's blood in the water.
In a profitless business, and then the water is a bloody red water.
Okay.
So what the team did was say, okay, we're a pizza business. We want to be this whole meal replacement business, but pizza is it's the most popular food in the world. But there are other favorites that go with pizza that are complementary, called wings and also pasta for a time. So we were going to go from a pizza only brand to we'll give you some of your family favorites, pizza, pasta, wings. And that strategy was hard to duplicate for our competitors, Domino's and Papa John's, who were a little bit more focused on pizza. But what it is, it was a strategy that was more expensive to implement, because you actually have to open up stores, or your stores need to have, in our case, Wing Street, they need to have fryers in them, equipment. You have to train people differently. So, and then you've got three things that you have to promote. So your advertising becomes a little bit more fractionalized. So, but we embarked upon that because if you think about the Blue Ocean strategy, it's a brilliant execution of that. But a couple of things happened. We had a financial crisis and we had COVID. And in those cases where people economized, they turned to pizza because you could feed people for $2 or $3 a person.
Oh yeah.
So the whole idea of the reduction in pizza consumption really never happened. So at the time we were suffering because we had this albatross we had to promote, which were these three things. And it's easier to communicate one thing versus three. And you had competitors like Papa John's, which I actually went on to lead, that were just pizza only and delivery only, right? No restaurants, et cetera. Right. So that strategy didn't work out as expected. It was difficult to implement, great on paper, but the implementation, the execution of it maybe wasn't thought through. There's a book by Larry Bossidy, who was the former #2 at General Electric. And this is an instance where you haven't thought about the execution of your strategy. He claims that his book is Strategy is Execution. So you might have a great strategy on a PowerPoint, but if you can't execute in the stores, then don't do it.
Yeah.
And it was an instance where it was difficult to execute. And I would say, since successfully corrected in the path that Pizza Hut is on now. So anyway, that's another one. And so I think what I learned from that is you got to look at your strategy, but you got to look at what's real in the store. What do the
Right.
employees have to do? And if it's difficult to implement, if they don't remember, if it's too complicated, then you're not going to be successful.
DC, I'm heartened by the story you've told many times of a certain someone at Coca-Cola saying, "That's a beautiful, it's great, great thought, great thinking, but what are the unintended
What are
consequences?"
the Chris Lowe?
Right.
What are the intended consequences of your brilliant idea?
That's a great example of that. What's the unintended consequences? Yes, shout out Chris Lowe. All right, should we go to the next question?
Let's do it.
All right. So, Bob, regarding technology and marketing, you've seen a whole lot. Can you tell us where you think marketers should lean in or best leverage tech? Or you can tell us areas that you think they should be leery or simply avoid.
Well, great question. I'm going to use an experience that I have and then translate it into today.
Right.
But in the early days of Web 1.0 and 2.0, and I would say I was at General Motors when that all started. Uh, we uh, we were tasked to create our websites for our brands. Cars and trucks is a very image-oriented category.
Oh, yeah.
So we embarked upon creating a beautiful website. And at the time, think about it, the hardware was not up to speed with what the software could do.
Right.
So the best site that you could have put up was maybe one that was majority of it was text or bulletin board style, peppered in with some images. But if you're the director of advertising and sales promotion, and you're in the image business and you want to glamorize and make your brand aspirational, that's not a good answer. You have to have a good looking website. So myself and all my counterparts at Chevrolet and Buick and Cadillac, we did these beautiful websites that basically alienated customers because it took so long to load the visual images. So,
Ah,
so DC, that goes to your unintended
yeah,
consequences.
yeah, yeah.
So, I'm in a meeting and being lying, that looks great. We're going to sell a bunch of cars. It looks so great. You're able to animate it and deliver videos, but the loading factor was significant, and the customer it didn't, like I said, you have to make it real in the restaurant. You have to make it real in the customer's household. So
Mhm.
that was it. But we were spending money on digital, and you really have to think about this little case history today about what you're doing in and around AI. But we really didn't know what we were doing. You couldn't measure it. And there are, if you grew up in the TV and the print area, there's lots of different ways that you were measuring that kind of stuff. But we couldn't measure it. And then publishing sites you used to advertise, do lifts of your 30-second commercials. You put them on publishing sites, news sites, etc., or you do display advertising. They had no way of giving the measurement. Even in the early days of Facebook, uh, they had no answers in terms of what they were
Right.
doing, and they were trying to monetize. In fact, it was funny. We're at this big corporation. We couldn't even get a meeting there. So
Oh, wow.
now times have changed and they're pretty sophisticated and successful. So the idea is to know when there's a bright, shiny object out there and you're unnecessarily chasing it. And what we had to do is, I was honest with the guys, this is new. We are gaining experience with this.
Mm.
We don't know what we're doing. We're feeling our way through it. However, when it does come and the infrastructure catches up and the power of computing catches up, we're going to be in a position to have a first mover advantage because we have experience with this new platform and this new medium. So as for AI, I think you have actually so many more different options as a marketer. There are so many companies marketing various different tools, and you're in it's okay. You're in the era of fast failure, right? And then correct on the fly.
Right.
So I think you can experiment with these AR tools knowing that you're in a little bit more forgiving environment. You got to try something, it doesn't work, you move on from it. But just don't get into the trap that everyone's doing it. And and try to pick a couple of things that work and repeat it and try to grow it and get additional capability and expertise so you can action it better with your consumer. But I'll tell you, I'll just give you my personal experience where everybody's doing on AI, and I don't think it works very well, is customer service, which is now being served by chat boxes.
Yes.
And they basically prevent you from getting the answer. And they alienate customers because they only are loaded with a certain number of responses. And if you have a specific request that's case by case, they can't answer it. But then they spend so much time do looping the logic and the decision rules that they've been giving. And what I like to do is immediately try to get off of that and get to a live chat. And they prevent you from getting to the live chat. And it's maddening. And then sometimes when they're presenting you or say, okay, I give up, Bob, you said agent live chat 100 times, I'm going to give up and get you to one. They put you on hold. And what you get in some instances, I just had a real recent experience because I just moved into a new home, and you can imagine what I had hooked up. And so I'm on the live chat and it says, we'll be with you in 4 minutes. Well, 4 minutes go by and then they tell me it's 6 minutes to get to the live chat. So in this particular company, I actually had an into the office of the president and I got my problem solved. But if you have to create a whole other apparatus in your company to cover from the fallout and the alienation, the poor customer experience that you get by using automated and AI tools, that's a problem, in my opinion. So just be watchful of that. And if you're going to implement a tool that touches the customer, pressure test that on yourself because you might be alienating the customer. And some companies, in my opinion, I'm thinking, well, they know it's not a great experience, but they save so much money by not having live people to solve your problems.
Yeah.
And basically, if the status quo is people in a new generation of buyers and shoppers are conditioned by poor customer service through AI chats, then maybe that's what they think that's the state of the art, and that's what you get. So just be watchful of that. That would be my point of view. And, of the last 10 years, there's been so much written and so much accomplished with customer experience. I just hope that AI can be used very purposefully to enhance that and to turn a problem into make you a brand lover after having that touch point with the AI tool.
Bob said a whole lot, D. So I'm seeing two main things that Bob said. One is, what brand nerds, if you're in a situation where you have a bright shiny new technology, and by the way, it always happens. AI is right now in 2026. It's going to be something else in 2027 and 2028. So what Bob is saying is jump in, learn, don't watch from the sidelines, even if you're spending money that you haven't figured it out. That's one thing. Love that. The second thing is completely different, and that's something that we've talked a lot about, Bob, on the show, and the first one too. But if you're interfacing with the customer, B2B customer, B2C consumer, and you haven't pressure tested that, you don't know what that's like. Oh, this is trouble with a capital T. And we talk about this a lot, Bob. We have something called a brand activation wheel. And what we do with our clients is that's every touch point that a brand has with the customer or consumer. And it's just like with when you're working out with weights, you're either building muscle or you're not. And every touch point should be something that enhances the connection that you have with the brand rather than detracts. And so you can have 10 wonderful positive things, but then you have this AI chatbot that's your customer service, and you're yelling, agent, agent, and then you still don't get the agent, and then that strips away all those 10 positive interactions and makes it really negative. And so you're saving money because the CFO says you need to save money, but in reality, you're losing a whole lot of money, and that's hard to be that's hard to track as it relates to the negative brand situation that you have with customers or consumers. So that's my take on your wonderful.
No, that's a great summation. And I'll just add very briefly, that's what you call in marketing is the moment of truth.
Right.
And you're gonna augment and amplify the customer's love for your brand, or you're gonna
Right.
lose them. So, again, I was all big on moment of truth marketing, and especially if there was a problem with the customer, giving them a reward and a solution almost on the spot is
Yep.
what I found has been valuable because people are completely disarmed, and all
Right.
the negative energy that you generated goes away pretty quickly. So
That's right.
Oh, whenever we get into AI and tech, I go back to harken back to what's human. What can we learn from what humans actually do rather than what we'd like humans to do? So as you were giving your example of 4 minutes, then 6 minutes, I thought about a recent example I had. I won't name the company, but I have an appointment with them. I'm not able to make it. So I'm calling in and I know, and they have AI and the lady says her name and I'm like, oh, this is cool. So I'd say, hey, I'm calling about an appointment. We go through it. Do you want to reschedule? Yes, I do want to reschedule. Would you like to reschedule today? Or would you like to reschedule tomorrow? It's all going well. And I said, I'd like to reschedule tomorrow. Great. Would you like, and it gives these times. I'm like, this is fantastic. Here's the problem. I'm driving. So I say to this AI lady, give me a moment to check my calendar. This is a reasonable thing to say. I'm driving.
Yes.
Yep. I can't pick the time now. I then look at my calendar. I find the time. I come back and say, I would like, 3:30. It was 3 times. And this sucker took me all the way back to the beginning prompt. What is your name? What's your name? It wasn't ready for that human real world thing to happen. And so what I find is that a lot that happens with AI today across industry is the use cases presume an engaged person.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't presume a distracted person, whether driving or scrolling or who knows, Bob, when you were looking at the screen, maybe your cat does something and you look over there and then you look back, you think it's 4 minutes and now it says 6. I believe that in this example that you have given, it's a wonderful opportunity for those in tech to have use cases built upon distraction, not engagement.
great insight, DC.
Thank you.
Should we hit the next question?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Bob, you may take this question anywhere you'd like. What are you most proud of?
Well, I think, thank you for sharing my career with your reviewers, but I think I couldn't have had a career like this and generate growth, as you say, it's all about, without having people that supported me and having a network. And I had great leaders that supported me. I was an adventurous marketer, so that could get you into trouble sometimes, but I was supported all the way. If I did something a little bit risky, people knew me, they knew my reputation, and they supported me.
Like give away free cars on Oprah, like that?
Yeah, that, and then the naming the Denali, and at the time it was really questioned, and people thought it was a terrible name, and they asked me to come up with a new name, and I slow walked it, and we ended up with Denali. So, but anyway. And that could have gotten into trouble. But so my greatest accomplishment is then when I got into positions of responsibility and influence, I took care of the people that were supporting me, and then also who helped me get there. So before people care about how much you know, they want you to show them how much you care. And I always tried to do this. I was at an event last night, and it was a new museum director for the Dallas Museum of Art, And he said that he wanted to upgrade the people and take care of his people. And he says there's a saying that if you take care of your people, they'll take care of you.
Mm-hmm.
And then he goes on to say, if you don't take care of your people, then they'll take care of you.
Then they will take
The
care of
way
you.
you want it,
Yes,
right? Right.
absolutely.
So anyway, I think that's many of the folks that I hired that work for me or even partnered with laterally, they've all gone to run big brands. I mean, it's a who's who right now of top 10 brands that and I'm very proud that they've risen to those levels, and I'm hopeful that maybe there's one or two things that I left them with that gave them something they internalized to help them with their success. So, bringing people with you is probably my greatest accomplishment and something I'm most proud of.
That's great.
That's awesome.
That's great, Bob. That's great, brother.
Yeah.
I don't have any more on that, Larry. Do you?
That's a great mic drop on that. No, I do not. That's really cool. All right. We are now moving and grooving, Bob. We're going to the next segment.
Okay.
And the next segment is What's Poppin'? What's poppin', D? What's poppin', Bob? So, Bob, this is our chance to shout out, shout down, or simply have something happening in and around marketing today we think's good fodder for discussion, and you have a juicy one. Hit us with it.
Well, I'm going to be controversial, and I hope I don't insult anybody.
Don't worry about that.
I think the state of advertising is a vast wasteland. That was used many years ago to describe the state of television because there's a lot of mindless television programming going on. And I think the way we market today and the platforms that we use actually train people to hate advertising. Think about it. If you're going on YouTube, I'm trying to look at a piece of service content, and what's the thing? I'm eager to get to that content, but the first thing that's on my mind is to skip the ad in 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And how have marketers and advertisers responded? Well, they've responded by shooting the name of the brand within the 2 seconds, first 2 seconds, doing something so innovative and jaw-dropping that you have to continue past the 5 second mark to wanna know how this is going to turn out. But it's not storytelling; it's shock. It's like I say, the breaking the internet. A lot of what's going on now is shock or of personal interest. It's feuds. It's all that kind of stuff. So the nature of those ads, I don't think they're healthy. I think the most important thing if you want to sell ads is to make an emotional connection to a consumer.
Yeah.
Great storytelling never goes out of style. And you can't do it within 6 seconds. It's what I call it's a clip narrative, but people can't process that quickly. So rather than having ads that are created by really knowing the consumer, I mean, we used to go into people's homes and look how the products were used in their households. And we used to do reams of research that if they buy my product, what other product do they buy? And you can develop a day in the life profile of that person so you can make more precise, more resonant messaging to that person and build a relationship. Because really the best kind of selling is one-on-one selling, right? It's being the salesman at the moment. You can't do that. You have to do it on a mass basis. And I think knowing the consumer and trying to identify insights that resonate with the consumer, that identify what I call latent demand, things that people need before they know they need it until you tell them they need it and present it in a way that is revelatory to them. And I think today a lot of the advertising and the messaging is a logarithmic. And instead of kind of looking for how did I build brand equity, what great qualities and attributes did I associate with my brand, your likelihood to buy it again, those kinds of things, and you can measure an emotional connection to the brand. We're trying to look at, can I plus up my attribution levels 1.4% in the next
Yeah.
7 days.
Yeah.
So really what it's going for is behavior. And I don't think you can influence people in a long-term, durable fashion by influencing behavior in the moment, because it's almost like a drug. What do you do next? If you
Right.
build an enduring brand, you're building a partnership and a friendship with a person. I used to buy all these Apple products for me and my kids and my household. And when my kids were younger, these products would break frequently or they lose them frequently. But you know what? I love the brand so much that I happily rebought them. I paid
Oh
the
yeah.
price
Yeah.
because they just made an amazing product. And anyway, that is to me is the high level that people should be shooting for. And I think advertising needs to be a little bit more less transactional and more partnering with the consumer. But importantly, emotional bonds can't be broken. They weather your awful experience that you had with the AI chat. They
Yeah.
weather that because you like the brand and you forgive them.
Preach, Bob. Preach.
So
Yeah.
anyway, that's my big deal right now is and here's the thing, I'm a complete student of the advertising. It started in fourth grade.
Right.
So it's my hobby, and I can't really tell you many brands that I remember
Right.
uh, or advertising that I remember. Now we have this thing called the Super Bowl, but that's
Yes.
where the big brands bring out their powerhouse talent, and they put time and attention to it, and they put the best people in. The CMO, the presidents of the companies are involved. You know, it's whatever I forgot what was $6 to $10 million to run advertising. The agency people put their best people on it.
Yeah.
And you look at this past Super Bowl, there's a lot of great advertising that
Yep.
does exactly what I'm teaching or trying to promote and to preach about now. But why does it have to happen once a year? It used to be that happened all year, that great ads that were memorable happened all the time. Like I said, we were in the business of saying our high water mark is are people going to remember this 10 years from now? What are we going to be remembered for?
Mm.
And right now, I don't know if you have that kind of mindset or people are trained to do that and think that. When we did the first iPhone app for pizza ordering, which was pretty cool, my brief to the agency, make this app so compelling that Apple's going to want to put it in there. There's an app for that advertising. And that's
Mm,
what happened. They fulfilled the
Yeah.
brief. They got
nice.
that accomplished, but I don't know if there's a lot of thinking like that today. And I'm just I think very classically about marketing. I do believe you should be guided by data. I love the tools that could that are for that are math based that you can apply marketing science to. But at the end of the day, you got to influence people by building a relationship and telling a compelling story. It never goes out of style.
Bob, we violently agree with
Oh,
you.
that is a salute.
Yes. D,
Salute.
you
Oh,
have thoughts?
well, I do have a few thoughts. Going back, Bob, to your comment of remember, are you doing something that people remember 10 years from now?
Mm-hmm.
Here is the fundamental issue. You use Super Bowl, talked about how this is when our industry brings their A game on the client side and the agency side. Why is that? And I believe the reason why the Super Bowl is this sterling example of the best that we got is because during the Super Bowl, clients and agencies are striving to bring something that's accretive to the experience. We don't view ourselves as separate from the game. We view ourselves during the Super Bowl as a part of the entertainment spectacle that is the Super Bowl. So if there's going to be a mid fourth quarter game that's tied and people are riveted to their seats and they've been riveted to their seats for a couple of quarters and they want to go to the bathroom, we as marketers say to ourselves, we got to be so good that you will pee your pants to stay in front of the screen to watch these ads so that you will not move, and then the game comes back on. So it's accretive. What happens when we're not in the Super Bowl, to your point, Bob, is we view ourselves as an interruption.
Right.
We're interrupting.
Disturbance.
Yeah. We are disturbing. I like that word better. We are disturbing your regularly scheduled program. And, I'm sorry. I don't want to hold you long. I got 30 seconds, but maybe I only got 6 before you hit skip. And it lacks confidence. It lacks confidence. And when you approach someone, just again, back to human, you see someone that you're attracted to. They're across the room. 2 different approaches. One, a person comes over and says, excuse me, I don't want to bother you. You seem like you're really, really busy. There's a lot of stuff going on here. Can I get a couple of seconds of your time? No, get out. Okay. Okay. If you juxtapose that to the person that's holding court across the room in the restaurant, people are like laughing with this person, and people coming over like hugging this person, and then that person looks over the room at someone else and goes, "Hey, come on over." That's a whole different thing. They're not going, "Oh, I'm sorry, I saw you were busy." And they're just saying, if you want some of this energy, come on over and join it. And if you don't, stay over there by yourself in your boring corner. This is the difference, I believe. So that's what's up for me. Love the subject. Larry?
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I'll just add quickly, Bob separated it great with Super Bowl and everything else. I was involved with a research study a while ago already that the ads are actually one of the biggest drivers of viewership for the Super Bowl, meaning people want to watch them. And at all other times, as Bob said, they're a disturbance. But you know what? You could do 2 things as a marketer. Like Bob used the example, we've all been on YouTube. When you go on and your immediate reaction is, "Oh shit, I want to get to what I'm clicking on." So you see it as a disturbance. You could either embrace that and try and make light of it and be funny and bring people in. That's one thing. Second thing, maybe you work with Google to say, how could we do this better where you're getting your ad time, but it's better for me? Or 3, you sit it out and you just don't do things like that where you're going to be the disturbance, right? Like you've got to be that conscious is my point as a marketer. And that's why, Bob, we always talk about the Super Bowls. While it's all that money, it's worth its weight in gold because people are leaning in to DC's point rather than seeing it as a disturbance. So that's just my ad of what you so eloquently have brought up and said in this great conversation. So thank you for that.
Great observations. I think and I like DC's ideas that you're part of the celebration.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I guess my advice again for people is whatever you're doing, have a mindset of creative ambition.
Yes.
In whatever you're doing. Strive for that.
That's great.
Love that. All right. We are at the close, Bob. Again, when we have wonderful guests like you, it feels like we've been talking for 5 minutes and we've been talking a whole lot longer than that. So, this has been amazing. I'm going to posit my learnings. DC's going to go. And then if you have any closing thoughts about this wonderful conversation, Bob, I have a ton of learnings. I'm going to just call it to 10. So here we go, brand nerds. Number 1, think big like Bob did with the Oprah Pontiac G6 giveaway. The question you should ask yourself, as Bob said a few times, are you doing something people will remember 10 years from now? That should be the intention. That's number 1. Number 2, talking to you up-and-coming brand nerd. What is your favorite brand? And how can you manifest working on that brand and you take it to the next level? Number 3, Bob Lutz, quote, oftentimes wrong, but never in doubt. The point of that is be both confident and humble to know that you don't have all the answers, right? Number 4, again, Bob Lutz, split personality. And like Leonardo da Vinci, that that our Bob here, Bob Kraut, so eloquently put. Be guided by left brain data, but you need to have free will and creativity. And the mesh of that is you having great ambition and commingle it to drive great results, which, again, Bob Kraut has done throughout his career. Number 5, the John Wooden quote: don't mistake activity for achievement. Like Bob Kraut and Bob Lutz, your work needs to generate real business results. Number 6, that Bob learned, unfortunately, with his F up. Number 6, you should always be thinking, trust, and verify. Number 7, for technology, like Bob did with Web 1.0 and 2.0, you're best served to jump in and learn. You don't know what you're learning yet. You know you're early, but you can't look up from on the sidelines. You got to jump in and be in the game. Number 8, if you have tech interfacing with customers, you better make damn sure that you pressure test it yourself, you and your team, so you're not hit with all these awful things that Bob and DC and I shared, because invariably people themselves haven't gone through that, because they would be so frustrated they wouldn't let that stuff go. Number 9, like Bob, all success is grounded on help from others. Show them how much you care. You take care of people that will take care or not take care of you.
Oh, no, they'll take care of you both ways. Go ahead.
That's exactly
That's
right.
right. It's right, Keith.
And number 10, Bob said it just like a minute ago. Have a mindset that has great creative ambition. Those are 10 awesome ones from Bob. Thank you. DC, you're up.
Bob, it's no surprise to me that you're teaching now.
Yeah.
Because this podcast has been one where you have been teaching the brand nerds and you have been teaching Larry and I.
Yep.
You are an exceptional teacher. And at this part of the podcast, I attempt to bring forward, in my humble opinion, what is it that this person is bringing to us on this planet that only he can bring in the way that he brings it. And if we don't get it from him, we're not going to get it. I go back to a comment you made on the question of what are you most proud of? Larry's covered this, and you said, I'm an adventurous marketer, adventurous. And then you talked about having people support you in this role of being an adventurous marketing, having people support you, very important to you. And then you talked about, and you support them, and they've gone on to these fabulous careers. You mentioned a quote about people don't care what you know or think until they know that you care. And that is a quote from Maya Angelou. Maya Angelou, her mentee. So Maya Angelou had many people that she taught, but her prize mentee was Oprah Winfrey.
Mm-hmm.
Oprah Winfrey was Maya Angelou's prized mentee. And then that took me back to your connection with the Oprah Winfrey Show, and Oprah Winfrey is a person, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. And I remember you mentioning, Bob, that to launch this new Pontiac G6, you had 30 million large. And then I heard you say, I think I heard this right, that you decided to trim the media budget, which, brand nerds and boys and girls, just know this, in any marketing department, most of them around the world, it's the media budget that's the biggest budget. There will be partnerships, there'll be celebrities, but typically media is going to be the largest line item in a marketing's plan's budget. I thought I heard you say, Bob, that you trimmed $5 million from a $30 million media budget or marketing budget. You had $30 million. Most of that was going to be in media. Brand nerds, that's 16.7%. And you don't take 16.7% of a marketing budget unless you got something going on.
Mm-hmm.
that makes you believe you should do this? And what's that thing that that Bob has going on? Well, that goes back to Bob Lutz. Bob Lutz. Bob Lutz, your mentor, you answered that as the most influential of your career, and you talked about him as the good king, almost like royalty. And you also mentioned that he wrote a book, and the name of the book is Guts. Now, let me connect this back to your brand love. Your brand love, the one you mentioned that really blew your mind, was the Pontiac GTO. Pontiac. That blew your mind as a young person. You have collected cars. You then was a brand manager. You then did all of these executive things for the Pontiac. You did some other things on other brands as well in the automotive trade, but Pontiac. And I'm thinking, why Pontiac? Why Pontiac? Brand nerds who are from Michigan, you may think the word and name Pontiac comes from the city Pontiac, Michigan. And yes, there is a Pontiac, Michigan. But that's not where the name comes from.
I know where you go. You
know where I'm going here, okay?
Absolutely.
The name comes from a Native American chief.
Chief Pontiac.
Chief Pontiac, okay. What was Chief Pontiac known for? Okay, much smaller group of fighters against the Brits. Much larger army with the Brits. Chief Pontiac and his fighters, they were like, we're not going to submit to your bureaucratic control. And his legacy, Chief Pontiac's legacy, is courage, aggression, independence, and fighting spirit.
Wow.
This is Chief Pontiac here now. And guess what that aligns with? Guts.
Mm-hmm.
Guts. Bob Lutz, in his book Guts, what he talks about there is bold products come from bold decisions. Emotion and passion matter. Leaders must sometimes challenge the system directly. All of what is in Bob Lutz, the vice chair at the time of GM, was it of GM or Pontiac?
It was
Bob.
General Motors, yeah.
General Motors,
number
okay.
2 guy, yeah.
Yeah, General was Bob Lutz. Mm-hmm. So Bob Lutz embodied Chief Pontiac. And this is why, Bob, you, I believe, loved the Pontiac brand as a kid. And this is why you've made all of these decisions across your career that resulted in growth. And that is because you have guts. So I'm going to say that what I believe you are giving to us that no one else can, a phrase that many of us have heard is guts and glory, but I don't think that's you. I think you are the penultimate example of guts and growth.
I agree. Totally.
That's you, brother.
Thank you. Thank you.
How's that sitting, Bob?
It's great. This is I've really enjoyed my time, and what I enjoyed about this is that we're having an intellectual discussion about something that we're so passionate of it.
Yep.
And it's so part of each of us, the three of us. So I appreciate just being able to participate, and the notions that you put forward to your viewers. I'm hopeful if they can latch on to one or two of those things and help them, I would be very happy and proud.
Mm-hmm.
That's a mic drop. You've elevated this conversation in a big way.
You really have, man. Just outstanding, Bob. Outstanding stuff.
Outstanding. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes, and brand nerds, thanks so much for listening to Brands, Beats, and Bites. The executive producers of Brands, Beats, and Bites are Jeff Shirley, Darryl, DC Cobbin, Larry Taman, Jake Tate, and Tom Dioro.
The Podfather.
That is he. And if you do like this podcast, please subscribe and share. And for those on Apple Podcasts, if you are so inclined, we love those excellent reviews. We hope you enjoyed this podcast. And we look forward to next time, where we will have more insightful and enlightening talk about marketing.